Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls.
I say, yeah, Oluwa.
Hey.
I need to talk to you, okay, and let me. I need to open and be bailing me down.
Make you
stop all the people we want try to suffer me. The day Oluwa me, oh yeah. Togun Togun, teacher, Togun Togun, Togun Togun, teacher, Togun Togun, Togun Togun, teacher, Togun Togun.
Let's go.
My mama dey pray.
So this is Togun by GospelOnDbeat and Greatman. I feel like I've done about 30 songs for Scrippo Entertainment in the past couple of months, but this song, there's something about the song, the chord progression, man. Listen. What? Anyway, so today I'm going to walk you through my process and we're going to do a mixed breakdown and I'm going to show you everything that I did. At least I'll try to show you everything that I did to achieve the quality that you're hearing in this record. This song is out, by the way. I'm going to leave a link below so you can go and stream it, okay? We're going to start with the drums first. My process is the same if you watched any of my mixed breakdown. I don't do too much. The first thing we have here is the kick. All right? Hey. I'm not doing so much for the kick. Okay, so I just have this Nectar EQ and I'm doing a high pass up to 20 hertz just to round off that low end. And obviously from here, I'm sending to my drum bus. This is where I'm doing my compression. And I did not compress the kick individually, right? I'm compressing the whole drums as a whole. So I sent all of the drums to the drum bus and this is where I'm doing the compression. Let's see. Right. As you can see, the needle is barely moving. I'm just using this to just glue the tracks together and just add a little bit more punch to the drums. But aside that, I'm also doing sidechain compression. I always do sidechain compression for my drums. So I have sent all the drums to my parallel drum bus and I'm using the 1176 compressor to squash the hell out of that signal. And then I am blending it with the rest of the drums. So let's listen to that. So this is without it. And this is with it. You can hear that little bit of oomph that the drums all of a sudden get, right? Like I said, I am compressing the drums very hard with the 1176 and I'm blending that signal with the original drums. You can hear the heavily compressed drums. Right. I'm going to leave a link here to a video that can explain some more about parallel compression if you don't know about it. Okay, let's look at the rest of the drums real quick. What else do we have here? So we have the percussion loop. Yeah. So again, the same thing. I'm just doing a high pass up to 187 hertz in this case, right? Routing it straight to my drum bus as well as the parallel compression bus. Let's look at the next one. Yeah, the same thing. We're doing a cut up to 33 hertz. Whenever I'm doing this cut, I am making sure I am not cutting to the actual sound, okay? Because you don't want to change the sound. But the reason I'm actually doing this is sort of create space for each instrument within the record. Right. As you can see, the same thing here, a cut up to 265 hertz. Basically, that's all I'm doing for the drums. So for each instrument, I'm pretty much carving out space for it within the frequency range. Let's see, what else are we doing here? Right, pretty much the same thing, okay? Bro, this beat is very dope. Let's go back to the bass. Again, my process is still the same. Gain staging first to make sure I have decent level going to the rest of my processing. In this case, let's look at this bass. You can see that I've used the trim plugin to add up to 4 dB of gain so that I can hit, let's look at that. Right, so I can hit minus 18 dB pretty much, right? Because at minus 18 dB, the compressor will be getting enough signal to respond properly. But if this bass was too high, like say we were clipping and we didn't have enough headroom, I would also use the trim plugin to turn it down so that we can have headroom going into the rest of the processing. That's that. What else are we doing to the bass? I'm using the EQ to do a high cut this time around, up to 2000 kilohertz. Again, creating space for each instrument within the mix. Yeah, because I want to reserve this 2K and up for all of the vocals and the other instrument that would need to sit here. Although sometimes I will not do a high cut for the bass if the bass has some, information around this area. But again, the idea is basically make sure when you're cutting, you're not cutting to the actual sound, right? The most important thing for mixing and mastering, in my opinion, is really just balancing. If everything is balanced properly, you would achieve a great mix. It takes practice though. You have to keep doing over and over to just really know how to do it. But yeah, balancing is like the main thing. And when I say balancing, I'm talking about just the normal level of each individual element within your song. So that's that for the bass. Ooh. And then we have the log drums. Let's see what I'm doing to the log drums. The same thing, high cut here, low cut up to 20 hertz. And then, let's see, okay, ooh, see? A lot of the instruments of this mix actually came very, very quiet. So as you can see, I'm using the trim plugin to also add gain. But there's also something I'm doing here for the bass, which is sidechain compression. Look at that, right? So I'm using neutral for that. And I've sidechained the bass and the log drum to the kick. So that whenever the kick hits, the bass will duck down a bit. Let's see by how many dB.
Togun Togun, tija tija, Togun Togun, Togun Togun.
Right, so I think we are hitting up to like -7 dB here. I've set the attack to 1 milliseconds, release to 80. Usually I'll do 20. Anyways, ratio, I've set that to 6:1. Let's see if I'm doing the same thing for the log drums as well. Yeah, pretty much doing the same thing for the log drums. This is a multi-band compressor, right? So I'm only affecting frequencies from 78 hertz and below. I think I'm doing the same here. Yeah, 78 hertz and below. Threshold is -24 dB. I guess same settings worked here, but usually I would also change the setting up a little bit if I'm sidechaining more than one bass to the kick and they're playing at the same time. That's usually what I would do. And that's that for that. And then let's go over to the melodies, right? For the melodies, again, the same process. I'm using an EQ to carve out space for each instrument. This particular one, I am doing the high cuts up to 4 kilohertz and the low cut up to 211 hertz. And I'm also doing a cut here around 414 hertz up to -2 dB, but I'm doing a dynamic cut, right? Because there's this sharp sound or this resonant frequency that you hear around that. Ooh, ooh. Listen, right? That ended. Let's solo that. Right, so I'm doing dynamic EQ in here and I've set my threshold to about -60 dB. So I'm not just taking out the whole frequency there, right? I'm only taking the peaks. That's what I'm doing there with this. And just to make that part smooth when you hear it. And also so that when I get to my compression, it's not going to be too sharp. Do you understand? Very, very important. And then let's look at the next instrument here. This is the E piano, right? Ooh. Right. Again, like I said, the sounds came very, very quiet. I'm also adding gain up to 6 dB here so I can get decent level going to my compression, okay? And I'm also using an EQ to do some cuts, as you can see. We're doing a high cut here up to 4.7K. Also some cuts around 223 hertz, 318, and this is what? 419 hertz, right? Just to remove resonant frequencies. You can hear that. Ooh, sharp. Ooh. Ooh, that's sharp. But again, I'm doing dynamic EQing so that I'm not just attenuating all of the frequencies there, but I'm just targeting the peaks. Again, this is very important so I can have a smooth and clean sound by the time I'm done compressing, because those peaks will jump out to you if I hit the compressor without taming them at least. And then a low cut up to 68 hertz. What else do we have here? Another E piano. Right, so the same thing, taking out resonant frequencies and creating space. Gain staging here as well. If you notice anything from this song, is the fact that gain staging is not all about turning down levels. It's also about increasing levels, right? So that you can hit at least -18 dB, which is technically a good place to be for your plugins to work effectively. Let me just put it that way, all right? The same process. That's that for the instrumental. song is just amazing. Now let's go over to the vocals.
I need to open and be bailing me down. Stop all the people we want try to suffer me. The day Oluwa mi, oh yeah.
Bro, I really like that song. Okay, so for the lead vocals, process still very much the same. On the vocal chain, the first thing here is the noise suppressor. I'm really not doing too much with this because there's not a lot of noise, but let's move on. And then you have the Ozone dynamic EQ. Now this is to take out resonant frequencies from the vocals.
Tija tija togun togun, togun togun. Tija tija togun togun, togun togun. Tija tija togun togun, togun togun.
Right, and then the next plugin on my vocal chain is the de-esser, right? Nectar de-esser. Again, this one is to just pick up some of the initial sibilance in the vocals.
I say, yeah, Oluwa. I need to talk to you, moke eledami.
And I've set this to capture sibilance from 2.5 kilohertz and up. Set the threshold to -3 dB or -3.7 dB. So this first de-esser, because I have two de-esser on my vocal chain, is to just capture the very, very first sibilance. I'm not trying to do too much here because I do not want to make the highs dull, right? I want to just take what's really, really, really sharp. And then the next plugin on the vocal chain is, as usual, the SSLE Channel Strip. Now, this is where I begin to shape the tone of this vocal, to be honest. Let's start from the low frequency. Down here at the low frequency, I'm doing attenuation up to, I guess you can say -12 dB, around 205 or so ish hertz. And on the low mid frequency, I've set the bell first of all to be a very tight bell, and then I'm doing a cut up to -14 dB, around 750 hertz, to remove that boxiness. Let's listen to that. Listen, hold on.
I say, yeah, Oluwa.
Right, so that's what I'm taking
I
out.
need to talk to you, moke eledami.
Right.
I need to open and be bailing me down.
And then for the high mid frequencies, I am doing a cut up to maybe -2 dB, around 3 kilohertz. Again, to tackle harshness in the vocals, right? And I've set the bell to be a wide bell. So technically the attenuation might even extend beyond 3 kilohertz. And then on the high frequencies, I'm doing a boost up to maybe -3, -2. I don't know what this is. You can't exactly tell. You just listen. I think this is also another reason why I like this plugin, because now you must use your ear rather than trying to look at numbers per se, you know. But yeah, so that's what I'm doing here. Let's bypass this so that we can hear the effect that this plugin is doing to the whole vocal chain. I'll leave the other effects on, by the way, but let's listen.
I need to open and be bailing me down. Stop all the people we want try to suffer me. The day Oluwa mi, oh yeah.
Right, you can hear how thick the vocals are and how they still sound very, very lush. Let's play that with the beat.
I say, yeah, Oluwa. I need to talk to you, moke eledami.
Right, now the next plugin on the vocal chain is the 1176 compressor. This is the first compressor in my vocal chain. I like to compress in series. The first compressor will trap peaks only or mainly, and then the next compressor will even out the performance of the vocals. So here I've set the input to about 24, 25-ish, output to 24, headroom I usually just leave that the way it is, and then the mix is all the way to the max. Attack I've set to the slowest attack. This is the revision AE version of the 1176, by the way. When you put it to slow, you get 10 milliseconds of attack time, which is what I want, so that the transient can cut through, okay? And then very, very, very fast release, so that, you know, it's very, very quick. And then I've set the ratio to 4:1, and pretty much that's it.
I say, yeah, Oluwa. I need to talk to you, moke eledami. I need to open and be bailing me down.
So you can see that when it goes to the, that's when the compressor really, really kicks in. And then the next plugin on my vocal chain is the C6. I think this is like the powerhouse of my vocal chain. This is where the main tone shaping happens, all right? So what I'm doing here basically is taming the frequencies pretty much across the frequency range. For the lows, I just turned that down, and I've set that to like 91 hertz. So I've turned down everything below 91 hertz because we don't need that. And now for the mid, I've just set the attack to be a relatively fast attack at 2 22 milliseconds. I guess you can say this is a bit of slow attack at 25 milliseconds. Set the range to -8, threshold to -41 to just capture some of that low mid. Basically, I'm just trying to like tame it. And also I've set the behavior to opto because I want to behave like an opto compressor, which means slow attack characteristics, and then you would get a bit more definition around the low mid basically. So for the highs here, what we're doing here, so I've set the crossover points for the highs from 9 kilohertz and up, and I'm using that to put air into the vocals, right? So right, that's that.
I need to open and be bailing me down.
Right. I've also set the attack to like 3 milliseconds, release to 10, range to -15 or -16, and then makeup gain to 5, and then threshold to -40. You know, you can just pause to copy these settings if you want to, and you know, hopefully sounds good for your record as well. Let's bypass this so we can hear what this is doing to our vocals. So this is it before.
I say, yeah, Oluwa.
And then this is after.
I say, yeah, Oluwa. I need to talk to you, Moke Eledami. I say, yeah, Oluwa. I need to talk to you, Moke Eledami.
I really like the way that sounds. And then the next plugin on my vocal chain is the LA2A compressor. Now this is evening out the performance of the vocals some more. Let's listen.
I say, yeah, Oluwa. I need to talk to you, Moke Eledami.
Yo.
I need to open and be bailing me down. Make you stop all the people we want try to suffer me. The day Oluwa me, oh yeah, Togun Togun.
Right, so I think we are hitting -3 dB of gain reduction at the max. And I've set the peak reduction to 70, and that's how we're getting that. Makeup gain to about 50 here. You know, I like the way this compressor sounds. Sounds very, very smooth, as you can hear. This is opto compressor, so it's a very, very slow compressor. The attack time is about 10 milliseconds. Then the release time is dependent on the signal. It changes after 50%, but I don't want to go too deep into that. I'll leave a link to a video where you can get some more information about the LA2A compressor. And what else are we doing here? Then the next plugin on my vocal chain is the Nectar de-esser.
I say, yeah, Oluwa. I need to talk to you, Moke Eledami. I need to open and be bailing me down. Make you stop all the people we want try to suffer me.
Right. So the purpose of this de-esser is to capture all of the sibilants that would have built up due to the processing that we've done. Happens sometimes. And sometimes I could actually just use these sibilants to actually control how warm I want the vocals to be. Like if I wanted this vocal to be really, really warm, all I have to do is do a bit more de-essing and the vocals will sound warmer. But I prefer using the SPL de-esser nowadays. I made this song like, I think 4 months ago. So my process has changed a little bit since then. And now I'm currently using the SPL de-esser to end my vocal chain because I love the way that plugin sounds, right? It sounds very, very amazing. In my next breakdown, I'll show you how I'm using that one. So that's that for the dynamics portion of the vocal chain. And then we're going to the time-based effects, okay? So I have my room reverb, which is this pure plate by UAD. So very, very short reverb time and pre-delay time. I like this reverb. It works very well for room reverb, and that's why I like to use it. And as usual for room reverb, you're not doing too much, okay? You just want to just put a little bit of reverb there just to add a bit of spatial image into your vocals, just tiny. All right, and then the next send is going to my main reverb, and I'm using the hit reverb for that. I love this, very, very straightforward reverb. And then the next send is going to my delay bus, and I am using, let's look at that, comeback kit. This is my favorite reverb. Very, very easy reverb to use. I think what I love so much about this reverb is the Docker feature. It's more or less sidechaining your vocals to your delay. So instead of setting up sidechain, you can just do it with this Docker here. You know, it's just crazy. And I've set this to ping pong straight 1/4, which is, you know, quarter note delay, and that's that. Now for the backups, this is something I do a lot. I think I spoke more about this on my how to mix choir video. I'm going to leave a link here as well. So I have a lot of backups, right?
Yeah, Oluwa. I need to talk to you, Moke Eledami.
I have them going through this first bus, which I like to call my background vocal sum, and I have autotune here.
Togun Togun, Tija Tija Togun Togun.
Right, so I have auto-tune that is affecting every of the tracks at once. Sometimes I could actually still go ahead and put the auto-tune on individual tracks, but when I don't want the auto-tune effect to be very heavy on the backups, I just put them on this bus. And then I have this Ozone multi-band compressor here. What I'm doing with this is to compress the backup vocals before they even hit the vocal chain. And I'm doing the compression from 2000 or say 3K to 6K, because that's usually where the vocals sit. So I'm using the multi-band compressor to hold the backup vocals just a step below so that the lead vocals will always be up top. Very, very neat trick to try.
Togun Togun, tija tija Togun Togun, Togun Togun, tija tija Togun Togun, Togun Togun.
Right, so as you can see, I'm getting a bit of gain reduction there, and I've set the release to be a slow release at 100 milliseconds. You know, the ratio is 2:1, so I don't want too much compression per se, right? But very fast attack, so that it's very, very quick. So that's that for that. And then from here, I'll feed the output of the background sum bus into the input of the background vocal bus. The processing for the background vocals is pretty much similar, right?
Togun Togun, tija tija Togun Togun.
Right, it's pretty much similar, but sometimes I might EQ the background vocals a little bit differently depending on the song. Same with the multi-band compressor, I might do that a bit differently for the background vocals as well. Like for example, if you look at the lead vocals, I'm doing a boost up to 5 dB here from 10K and up to add air. But on the background vocals, I'm doing up to 8 dB boost here. And that's because they are sitting in the background, right? So that little bit of extra air just helps them to pop in the mix. My opinion, by the way. That's it. So again, just a little bit differently to fit the record. And then I'm using the RDSI here this time around at the end of the chain to capture all of the extra sibilants that I've built up. And then what else do we have here? The same thing, we have a room reverb, but I also have a different reverb for the background vocals. I'm using a very big reverb, is what I like to call it. And I've sent this one to this very big reverb bus, and I'm using a neo verb for it. You know, this is a much bigger reverb, as you can hear. But one thing you can also notice is how smooth the reverb sounds, right? That's because I am doing a low cut and a high cut here with this EQ to remove all of that muddiness and also harshness that you get from reverb sometimes. I pretty much do this for all of my time-based effects, as you can see. Sometimes I might even do more extreme high cut for my delays if I'm trying to create a different feel, or like underwater effect with the delays. Do you understand? So like when you hear the Togun Togun, the delay might be Togun Togun. Do you understand what I'm saying? That kind of stuff, you know, it's fun. For the background vocals, I'm using a different delay. I'm using the Nectar delay this time around, okay? And then what else we have here? We have the chorus. So I'm sending this to my chorus bus. Right, and I have the doubler, and I'm just using this double 4 voices preset, sending just a tiny bit to that bus to create a bit more width with the backup vocals.
Togun Togun, tija tija Togun Togun, Togun Togun, tija tija Togun Togun, Togun.
That's basically it, right? That's what I'm doing for this song. What else do we have here? Yeah, that's all. At the top of my mastering chain, I have this VU meter. Again, my goal is to make sure I'm not hitting the red when I play my mix.
Togun Togun, tija tija Togun Togun.
Right, because at 0 dB, I have up to -6 dB of headroom going to the rest of my processing, which is very, very important to get a very transparent and loud master. Do you understand? And so let's breeze through the mastering chain very quickly. So the next plugin after the VU meter is the Ozone 11. Usually I'm doing a bit of dynamic EQ in here to target some problem frequencies in the overall song. I'm also doing mid-side EQ in here, so I'm not affecting the size, I'm just affecting the mid, and I'm attenuating up to 2 dB around 293 Hz here. Right, mad. And then also attenuating up to -1 dB around 530. Right, you can hear how, bro, you see how sharp that sounded. You know, you want to take that off before you get to your compression stage. And I'm also attenuating up to -2 dB around 2.5K. Right, this is also dynamic EQing, as you can see. So I'm not trying to just rip out everything from that frequency range. I'm trying to just really target the peak. Okay, and then I have another EQ here. I'm just using this to do a boost up to 1 dB around 60 Hz to just give extra punch to the kick.
Togun Togun, tija tija Togun Togun, Togun Togun, tija tija.
You know, sounds very, very good. And then we have the imager. I like this imager because you can split into 4 bands and then you can spread the band as you want. Usually what I like to do is do more spread at the very top of the frequency range. That's from 7K and up, right? And I come to the high mid and I do a bit more spread there. I'll leave the low mid the way it is. I don't touch the low mid. I just like to leave them at 0. And then I would narrow the low frequency from 100 and below to kind of create a bit of a mono effect. Very useful in my opinion to keep the low end very, very tight. Right, and then the next plugin on this mastering chain is the EQP1A. I'm doing a boost up to 3 dB, around 60 Hz, also attenuating up to 1 dB. By the way, this is how this plugin is segmented. These 3 knobs here control the low frequencies, boost, attenuation, and then frequency range. This middle 3 here controls the highs, boost, bandwidth, and frequency. And this 2 controls attenuation from 5K to 20 kHz. Okay, so boost up to 3 dB, around 60 Hz, also attenuating up to 1 around 60 kHz. This basically is -1 because when you attenuate, you're cutting basically. And for the highs, I've set the bandwidth to 5, so it's more or less like a midpoint. It's not wide, not sharp. And then I'm boosting up to 5 dB, around 16 kHz for that extra crispiness, And then I'm also attenuating up to 2 dB, around 10, just to take out a little bit of sharpness. And then what else do we have here? We have the SSL Channel Strip. Now this is to, essentially glue the track together.
Togun Togun, tija tija Togun Togun, Togun Togun, tija tija Togun Togun.
And I've set the threshold to 15, attack to 10 milliseconds, slow attack because I want to retain my transient, ratio to 2:1. Again, I don't want too much compression. The higher your ratio, the more compression you're going to essentially get. And then the mix set to 100, trim 0, I'm not even touching the trim. I've set the release to the fastest. And the makeup gain I've set to 2 dB because we're getting, I think, up to 2 dB of gain reduction on the max here. And then the next plugin on the mastering chain is the Aberry Saturator. This one I've set to sides because we have mid, side, and stereo. I've set to side, so I'm only saturating the side, right? Just to add that extra sheen to it. So this is the song without it.
Togun Togun, tija tija Togun Togun.
And with it.
Togun Togun, tija tija Togun Togun.
Right, it's just very, very crisp, and I'm actually doing a decent amount of saturation here, but it's not in your face because it's only isolated to the sides. And then the next plugin on the mastering chain is the Iron Push Off. I love this plugin. This is one plugin that I still haven't replaced in my mastering chain. Even though I found other clippers that sound good, I just really like how this sounds. Okay, so with this, I'm adding magic, aka boost around the high mid, right, and a bit of boost on the low around, let's get that at 7 Hz. Okay, and then I'm using the clip function. I'm clipping up to 3 dB, and that's giving me up to -3 dB of gain reduction as well before I hit the limiting. Actually, the original limiter I used for this song is the Ozone 10 maximizer, and I set the ceiling to -0.5, turn off true peak, set the mode to IRC1, and I set the threshold to -4 dB, transient emphasis to 50% to emphasize the transient. Data is set to 24 bits. Yeah, that's that. But my guy put me onto this Elevate limiter about 2 days ago. This is an amazing limiter. It's basically a limiter with an EQ and saturation to it as well. It's just crazy. If you're doing your limiting and for some reason your kick starts to sound soft, you can literally go into the EQ and boost and pull back some of that kick. Let me show you what it sounds like. So I'm going to turn off the maximizer and turn this one on.
Togun Togun, tija tija Togun Togun.
It's crazy.
My mama they pray for me, my brothers they pray with me.
It's actually very, very transparent, but I think I will shuffle between this and the Ozone, depending on the record that I'm working on. Currently, I'm actually using the Ozone 11 maximizer for my mastering chain, but I would circle between that and this one moving forward. Let's listen to the Ozone though.
Togun Togun,
right?
Tija tija Togun Togun, Togun Togun, tija tija Togun.
Yeah, this one sounds very, very soft. I personally think I like this for this record. Let's listen to the Elevate again.
Togun Togun, tija tija Togun Togun, Togun Togun, tija tija Togun Togun, Togun Togun.
Yeah, but the transient emphasis for the Elevate is more audible. And I think a lot of people would prefer this for pop music, and even me, to be honest, because most people generally want their record to hit, and this will do that for you very, very easily. It sounds very good. But essentially, I am hitting around -9 dB LUFS, regardless of which limiter. Oh no, actually, I'm hitting -10 dB LUFS with the Ozone. Right? And we are hitting just a little bit higher, -9.6 or 9.8 with the Elevate limiter. It's almost the same, but anyways. So that's the mix breakdown. I hope you got something from this. If you did, make sure you leave me a like and subscribe if you've not. I'm going to leave a link below for the record so you can listen to it, and I hope you enjoy it. And if you'd like to book my services for mixing and mastering for stereo and Dolby Atmos, I'm going to leave a link below as well to my engineer store so you can book my services. If you'd like to buy my vocal preset and mastering preset for Logic and FL, I'm going to leave a link below. I know, I hear you. I'm working on the Pro Tools one, okay? And also, if you're a Logic user and you want to record yourself, I'm going to leave a link below to a free Logic Pro recording template. It comes with a free Afrobeat preset in it, right? All stock plugins, So that's going to be for now. I shall see you on the next one. Benny Macaulay out. Hey.